Our Divi design system has a new update, and this is Krafter version 2.0. And one of the key updates here is this blur background effect, which is now part of the design system. We can add it at any given time to enhance our designs. We also have borders. We also have shadows. So now as a designer, you don't need to guess the size of your borders or the size of your shadows. Now, let me share with you all the updates. So here we've added semantic colors. So in any design, you want to showcase whether, there's an error message or there's a success message. And these now are colors which are part of the design system, which makes it easier for your website to be easy to navigate. Further down here, our grayscale is now made up of HSL colors, which makes it easier to maintain and easier to manage. Further down here are borders. So the first one here is border 0. And here we have border 1. We also have border 2. So if I click here, you can see all the labels here. So under border, you can actually combine the border and the border radius, which is fantastic. Now, for those of you that don't know what Krafter is, it's our design system that is based on a preset workflow. So all these presets here designed for you ahead of time so that it takes away the guesswork of what font are you going to use? What size are you going to use? If it's clamp, how am I going to add clamp onto my website? All that is done for you. In fact, let me just go back to the fonts here so I can show you. So as you can see here, when we have these headings, if I click on this, straight away you can see this is heading XX large. And if I go into this, you can see these are all the presets. Okay, so it just makes it easier for us to find this. So as a new designer, what normally happens is when they try to update the font, they would come over here to the heading text size. And this is where they start saying, okay, is it 2 rem? Is it 5 rem? Is it 4 rem? So everything is all based on guesswork. And when you design that way, you take away the design rules, which make your websites consistent. So as you can see here, everything is to scale from heading 1 all the way to heading 6. This is not guesswork. These are values that are based on a rhythm, based on a system. So this is what is going to make your website amazing. All right, so let's move on. So you can see here our buttons here are all designed for us, our colors, as I mentioned earlier on. And then further down here, we have our borders and we also have our shadows. So now you don't even have to guess your drop shadow size. So if I click here, you can see our drop shadow here is medium. And this one here, our drop shadow is set to large. All this is a preset-based workflow. Further down here, as you know, we have our padding system. We also have our margins. Now, all this is based on a spacing scale. This is not eyeballing the spacing and all of that. That is a recipe for disaster. So this is the right way to design. Of course, we have border radiuses, our colors, and we also have our content row. Now, this is a breakthrough because a lot of people do not know when to use the actual rows in design. I'll show you in a moment what I mean. So further down here, this is our full width content row. And then we also have our sizes for all our sections. Okay. So how about we design something from scratch? I haven't thought about this design. I just want to just go in there and just start designing. Let's do this together. So I'm going to come over here to the canvas. If you haven't watched my video about the canvas, go ahead and check it out. This is a great addition to Divi 5. It just makes the designing of websites much easier. Actually, it's very fun to design that way. All right, so as you can see, this is my example here. We can create another canvas by coming over here. And I'm just going to call this blog card. And then I want to say add canvas. Okay. So we are going to start off with a single column. And then in this column, we're going to start off with a group. And in this group, our very first item here is going to be an image. We're going to try and create a card for our blog posts. Okay. But what is going to be very exciting about this is I am going to be building this so that it's reusable. And you can also see the design process. So I'm going to come over here now and add a text module. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And this is going to be our category. Okay. So moving on, we're also going to add a heading because I think we need to have a heading. So let's go ahead and add our module here. Moving on, after the heading, we're also going to need some excerpts. So we're going to add our text module like that. Okay, so as you can see, we're still moving on. We have our excerpts. What else do we need to do? We may need, say, a call to action, right? But we're going to make this a bit exciting. Okay, we're going to add a line that separates this design. Or in fact, to make things easier right now, let's just go in and add a button. Okay, like that. Okay. So as you can see right now, it looks pretty chaotic. I mean, there isn't visual hierarchy. It's quite difficult to see what is really happening here. So let's start by adding in a few more details to this. Okay, so we're going to go in here in our group settings. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add, let's say, some padding around this design. So notice that I'm not specifically choosing any value. All our values are pre-designed or decided for us. So I want to come over here to spacing. Okay. So I'm going to start off with padding, let's say medium. Now I'm starting off with medium. I may change this as time goes on, but this is what I'm going to use to start off. Okay. So with that now, I might also want to add, let's say, a background color. For now, notice how I use my background color. I'm going to select my background, come over here, and then I'm going to come over here to background. Now, when I click in here, normally, a beginner designer in Divi would come here, start moving around this color picker and so on. That is not how you design. Colors need to be predefined. And here we are. All the colors are predefined. I can select my very light gray here. I just want to see where things are for now. Okay, so moving on. Over here, we're going to change this because we want our text here to be our label. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select the label here. I know it looks crazy right now. And then over here, I'm going to change this title size to, let's go to heading text. I'm going to choose, let's go with H4. We're going to change this later. And then over here, we're going to change this text, not to normal size, but we also want to change this to body text small. And then for our button here, we're going to select our button. And then over here on the top, we're going to choose a primary small. Okay. So here we go. Primary button small. Select that. Now, did you see that I did not need to go in and choose specific sizes for anything? This is the power of this design system. And this is what I call Krafter 2.0. All right. So now that we have this, we might as well now make sure that this has turned into an actual card. So I'm going to select my group settings here. Okay. Come back over here to content. So we need to turn this into a loop. So I'm going to come over here to loop, activate my loop. And there we go. So I can see I have two blog posts, by the way. So that's why I know that this duplicated twice. Okay. So with that now, I want these side by side. So what do? I come over here to my row settings. Okay. Now watch carefully because our row is our first item that we selected, but everything is within a what? A container, which is over here on the elements. And this container is a column. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then over here now on the design, I'm going to go to layout and make sure that the direction here is set to horizontal. Now I have my cards set side by side. And this is brilliant. Okay. So now that we have this, let's go in and choose our content. So I'm going to start off with my image right here. I'm going to go back to content. And in fact, I need to choose my group settings because this is where we have the loop. So we're going to start off with the image. Okay, so over here in my content, I'm going to go to my elements. Right, so for my image here, I'm going to go in and make sure that this is set to my dynamic content here. So I'm going to click, and then I'm going to say loop featured image. Bang. Now, this has pulled all the data from my blog posts without even me visiting the blog post, okay? And this is just amazing, right? Next, I'm going to come over here to this text, and I want this to be a title, okay? So let's go ahead now to our text here, and we're going to go again onto dynamic content. So I want this to be a loop category, or this could be even a loop bio. So it just depends what you want to add in here. So let's go with loop author. Okay, so that's the author right there. So before that, I'm going to add a by space, and then that's the name. I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so we're going to keep everything basic. Next, we're going to come over here to our title. Go ahead and select it. Hover over here. I'm going to go into my content, and this is going to be my loop post title. Select that. So you can see here, hello world and new post. And then this is going to be our except. So I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to say loop except. Wow, look at that. But what we're going to do here is choose the number of words. So I'm going to start off with, let's say 40 words. That's still a bit too much. So I'm going to try 20. And I think that is the right size. That is the right sweet spot. Okay. So for the read more button, I don't need any of that. I'm going to say apply. And then finally, we have our button here. So I can go ahead and select that. And then I'm going to come over here. So I'm not sure which one this I should link to. I'm going to try page link. And then I'm going to go ahead and, in fact, that's not the one. Let me cancel that. I always get confused about this one here. So I'm going to say read more. So over here now on my loop link, on my button URL, I'm going to go to my loop link. Okay. And then click on apply. So far, so good. I think I've added everything that I need for my design right here. I'm just going to hit save for now. If you're brand new to Divi or Divi 5, I have a course called the Divi 5 Mastery. As you can see, Divi has become super sophisticated, and it does now come with a learning curve. This is actually a positive thing because we have more features. Divi has now caught up with the industry standard features that make you a proper designer. So this course covers pretty much everything that you need to know about Divi 5. It's a course that is progressing. So as Divi is adding new features, this course will have more of those lessons as time goes on. At the moment, you can see here, it has 1,061 students. It's a course that is growing really, really, really fast. So go ahead. It's only $27. That's a huge investment. And once you pay $27, you don't have to pay any extra if I add new modules and also new lessons. That is pretty much the base price. Now, this price may go up in the future, but I would highly recommend you go ahead and check it out. So far, it's got 44 lessons. I have a ton of lessons planned for this because I really want you to utilize Divi and become a really good designer using Divi because it is a really, really powerful design system. Okay, so back over here, we can see we have everything that we need. Now, let's make it even better. How about that? So we can either make it a dark mode if we want to, or we can just keep it light how it is. So I want to do something different today, okay? I want to change this into a dark mode version. How about that? All right, so what we're going to do, and this also gives you an idea of how we use color in our design system as well. But before we do that, let's just go in and stylize this. Let's give this some rounded corners. So we're going to come over here to design and border. Again, remember, you don't have to choose specifics here. You can just go on and say medium. All right. We're going to go to our image here. And for our image, again, we're going to go to border. This time we're going to go with small. And as you're adding this, it automatically works. Look how clean and how beautiful this already looks before we even add our spacing. And this is really, really amazing and really powerful. Next, we're going to come over here to the background, okay? And once we select our section, first of all, I want this to be medium. Bang. Now, our spacing is much, much better. Okay, so with this as medium, what else do we need to do? Let's add our background color. So I'm going to come back over here to my content in my section. And then over here on the background, I click here once, and here are my colors. Now, I want a dark mode version. So my gray 900 is going to be like my really dark background color. It's not 100% black, but it's my main base color that I'm going to use for this. So far, I mean, this looks great as it is. I mean, I'm sure you can agree with me. This actually works. But I want to take this to the next level. But before I start adding the colors here, let's fix the spacing, because this does not look right. The space between the button and the paragraph text and this, I mean, it doesn't look right. Okay, let's go ahead and fix that. And this is what takes you from a normal designer to a proper designer, because spacing is an element that is needed to become a great designer. All right, so now I'm going to go to my group settings. Next, I'm going to come over here to design. And then for the layout here, I'm going to set this to gap 0. Now, you might be thinking, well, Mac, what the hell is that? This looks awful. It's because we want to go in and be intentional with our spacing. So I want to start off with the first item here, which is the author, and select that. Okay. So with that selected, I'm now going to go to spacing. And this is where a spacing system now shines, because I'm going to go in and say margin top. I'm going to start off with medium. Okay. I can even go large. And at this stage, you can actually take a look at this and say, you know what? I'm going to change this from medium. And I'm also going to, let's say, go margin top large. So here's margin top large. Select that. Okay. Next, we have this hello world. So let's go in. And this time, I think I'm going to go with small. Okay. Because we used large on the top. And this content here is related. So I'm going to come over here to spacing. And then I'm going to say margin top small. So here we go. I'm going to add small. And then we also have our paragraph text here. So I'm going to go in, spacing. And for my margin top, I'm going to go with extra small. There we go. And then over here, I'm going to select, same thing like I did before, go to spacing. I'm going to set this to small. Now, our spacing is intentional. I mean, do you see how this looks way much better than how it was before? At this stage, this is where we can go in now and start adding our colors. So I'm going to go to my background here of my group, and we're going to add a gray. So we want this now to really stand out. So we're going to go in, undo that. And then since we used our BG 900, let's try 700. Nope, I don't like that. Undo. Let's go in for 800. There we go. I think that actually works. What I need to do at this stage now is to go in and change my colors for my text. So I'm going to start off with this, come over here to design, and then I'm going to go to my text here. Again, look at how I'm choosing the colors. I'm going to come over here. All my colors are, they're already set up for me. Gray 100. You don't want to put white because it's too much. Okay. Let's go to our heading here. I'm going to select that. Heading text. We're going to look for our color right there. And then we're going to choose gray 100. Look at that, how easy that is, right? And then we're going to come over here. Now, here you can be a bit fancy. Let's say you want to go into this text and perhaps not use the grays all the way, right? And you want something different. Let's go to our text color. So, and this time you can use your primary colors here. Look at that. You don't need to guess what primary color you want to use here. You can literally just use the colors from our color palette. And that is really, really cool. Now, we're not done yet because we might as well use our latest feature, which is the borders. So I'm going to select my group, come over here to the border, right? I'm going to click in the radius here and choose border 1. Now, I know you're going to say, this is too aggressive. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But check this out. I have a really nice trick here. I'm going to click on my border color here like that. And notice that we can still scroll down until we get the border that we want. So let's try 600. It's okay, but I think it's a bit too It's a bit too much. Let's go to 700. Oops. So I'm going to come over here. Let's look for 700, which is right here. Look at that. Now that is definitely what I want to go with. Okay. So as you can see, we've designed this from scratch. The spacing, we've done the colors, the background. Now, if you start designing intentionally like this, your designs are going to be next level. So this cannot be achieved without a design system. I know I keep saying design system. This is what designers that use Figma sort of like use. There's a spacing scale. There's intentional colors used, HSL. There's harmony. You cannot achieve all of that without this spacing scale. So go ahead, check it out. This is going to be our design workflow moving forward, and I recommend this for every Divi designer. This is a much easier way to design websites that are intentional, and a website that when someone looks, they'll say, wow, okay, this looks great, right? And all this is automatically responsive. You don't need to go in and go to these breakpoints and start fixing things. I mean, look at how everything just shrunk to just, fit the screen. I mean, this is amazing. Look at the headings, right? If I come back here, the headings get bigger, and look at the button as well. You see that? This is how interfaces are supposed to be designed. This is what how websites are supposed to be designed. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments box below. Thank you very much for watching. I'm looking forward to creating a lot more content and a lot more features to help us become really awesome designers using Divi. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Now, before I forget, I'm going to include the link to the latest version tomorrow, and you will get it via email, and it will also be in the dashboard. Take care.